Hello, friends. Welcome to First Word. Pastor Dave here, coming to you live from beautiful Linwood, Minnesota. Yesterday we had technical difficulties, a lot of technical difficulties, and then I had a bunch of meetings, so we had to punt on First Word. We're back today. First Word, we gather just to study the book of Mark together. If you're new to the Bible or have been reading it a long time, we're just going to take it kind of slow and look at what was Jesus actually saying. The author, Mark, what was he trying to communicate? On this weekend, my oldest daughter, Emily, is going back to college for her last semester. Crazy of college in Chicago. So we're going to take her back. So I'll be gone on Monday, but we'll be back with First Word on Tuesday, but no First Word on Monday. Mark chapter 1 today, verses 14 to 36. Let's jump into it. After John was put in prison, Jesus went into Galilee, proclaiming the good news of God. The time has come, he said. The kingdom of God has come near. Repent and believe the good news. As Jesus walked beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. Come follow me, Jesus said, and I will send you out to fish for people. At once they left their nets and followed him. When he had gone a little farther, he saw James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John in a boat preparing their nets. Without delay, he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired men and followed him. They went to Capernaum, and when the Sabbath came, Jesus went into the synagogue and began to teach. The people were amazed at his teaching because he taught them as one who had authority, not as the teachers of the law. Just then a man in their synagogue who was possessed by an impure spirit cried out, "What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." "Be quiet," said Jesus sternly. "Come out of him." The impure spirit shook the man violently and came out of him with a shriek. The people were all so amazed that they asked each other, "What is this? A new teaching and with authority. He even gives orders to impure spirits, and they obey him." News about him spread quickly over the whole region of Galilee. As soon as they left the synagogue, they went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they immediately told Jesus about her. So he went to her, took her hand, and helped her up. The fever left her, and she began to wait on them. That evening, after sunset, the people brought to Jesus all the sick and demon-possessed. The whole town gathered at the door, and Jesus healed many who had various diseases. He also drove out many demons, but he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. The word of the Lord. All right, Mark chapter 1. So Jesus goes to the Sea of Galilee, and I got a picture here of the Sea of Galilee, or the map. So you see Galilee up towards the top. You see Nazareth there. That's the town where Mary and Joseph were from. And then off to the right is this lake. And down to the south is Judea, and you see Jerusalem. That's kind of the hub, the headquarters of where everything was happening. Bethlehem was just south of Jerusalem. So it's about 60 miles as the crow flies from Nazareth to Jerusalem. And it's separated by Samaria, which is this people group that is at odds with the Jewish people. So Galilee is really separate, and it's kind of the outlier. It's not the hub of Judaism. But that's where Jesus spent a lot of his life, and we began his ministry there. Now, the Sea of Galilee is a beautiful lake like you would see in Minnesota. These are some of the pictures from the Sea of Galilee, scenes that Jesus would have seen. Peter, James, and John were fishing on this lake. Very similar to what you and I enjoy in Minnesota. The Sea of Galilee is 33 miles if you go all the way around it. So not a huge lake, 64 square miles. For comparison, Lake Mille Lacs is 207 square miles. If you're from Minnesota, you know that lake. So it's about, Mille Lacs is about, I don't know, I'm not great at math, 3 times or so bigger than the Sea of Galilee. This is where Jesus was, and he came upon the disciples, Andrew, and he came upon, who else did he come upon here? Looking at it, James and John, I think, if I remember right. Yep, and he asked them to come and follow him. And Mark loves this word immediately, or right away. It's often translated. They left, and so Mark is emphasizing this decisiveness of commitment. that Andrew and James and John, they've seen Jesus. We don't know how much they've seen Jesus, but they know who he is, and they know that he's up to something big, up to something beautiful, up to something really good. And Jesus is going to be talking about this new kingdom. We've talked about it at First Word as an upside down kingdom. We come to be served. No, that's false. We come to serve and not to be served. It's different. We come to honor one another above ourselves instead of honoring ourselves. And so they know that they want to align with this kingdom. Now, as we've talked about before, they don't really understand what this kingdom is all about, and they're going to spend a few years trying to figure it out. But they drop their nets, and they know that they want to be about this cause, which is much bigger than themselves. What they don't know is that this cause is about to change the world, that they're going to be journeying with God himself for the next few years. Now, it says that, I'm going to try to find this verse, that Jesus taught as someone who had authority, not as a teacher of the law. Here's the verse. The people were amazed at his teaching. I always wondered, what does that mean? How did he teach differently? One of the commentaries that I've been reading for First Word, it said that people would have taught a lot of quoting the Jewish rabbis and quoting things from the past, and Jesus didn't do that so much. I have here Matthew 5 and 6 for further reading. This weekend, this is a famous sermon that Jesus preached, very challenging. But over and over in this sermon, you will hear these words, "You have heard it say, but I tell you." So most of the teachers, they just kind of focused on, you've heard it say, and they've reiterated, this is what it's always been said. But Jesus would then say, "But I tell you." So like one example was, you've heard it say, eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you that when somebody injures your eye, do not seek revenge. Do not even seek a fair amount of revenge, eye for eye, but instead return their evil with love. And so Jesus goes on and he redefines things. He has these new ideas, this authority, and it was fascinating, and it still is fascinating. Then you go on and they encounter this man that has a demon. And so we'll find this verse here. So this is interesting, right? Like, what is this all about? An impure spirit that cries out. Now, you could have a whole first word or a couple first words on demons and what's going on here. We've talked about there's this good and there's evil, and there's this clear battle between good and evil. Belief in demons was widespread in Judaism at this time. And their existence, the evil spirits offered an explanation for evil, and they were increasingly regarded as representative of the forces opposed to God. That these evil spirits were allegiant to Satan, the prince of demons. Jesus and was calling people to be allegiant to him, to God. And demon possession was the explanation given for many types of illnesses, especially mental illnesses. And this is where it gets interesting with all of those things. But there is evil in our world, and people can commit themselves to evil just like people can commit themselves to good. And so in this story, the demon points out who Jesus is, and demons' submission to God is understood as an acknowledgement of Jesus' status of God's one and only Son. And Jesus' reaction is seen as a part of the mystery surrounding his identity. So you'll see this a lot where this demon, this evil, impure spirit cries out, "What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are. Be quiet, come out of him." The impure spirit shook the man violently and came out with a shriek. They were also amazed. He even gives orders to impure spirits and they obey him. News about him spread, so this kind of thing spreads quickly. And as soon as they left the synagogue, they went to the home they went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. But the interesting part here is where is it? Oh, I can't find it. I'm trying to scramble here. There it is. Be quiet. Why does Jesus want him to be quiet when the demon is speaking the truth? So we'll close with this today. This messianic secret. Jesus keeps telling people when he heals them, Don't tell anybody. Keep this quiet. But nobody does, and it doesn't seem like Jesus is really serious about them keeping it quiet. And there's, again, a lot of ink spilled on why Jesus says these kind of things. Some will say, which I think has some validity, that Jesus didn't want to cause a huge stir because the Romans would have come sooner after him, and he wouldn't have had as much time on this earth. There was a lot of people that claimed to be messiahs, and they almost all ended up dead. But one of the authors that I'm following has a different take. It seems she says that the commands to secrecy are largely artificial, and they're like a narrative device used by Mark. And we're going to get to Mark chapter 4, where there's this really important parable. And Jesus challenges people, do you have eyes to see what is really going on here? Do you have ears to hear what Jesus is really saying? The people in the end don't. They just want somebody that will defeat the Romans and give them freedom. And the disciples are trying to figure it out. And there's this messianic secret that people don't understand until Jesus is crucified, dead, but then rises again. And then people get it. And Jesus is challenging them. Do you really see what's happening here? Do you really hear what I'm saying? It's a good challenge for us in 2021. Friends, I hope you have a great weekend. Look forward to being back in the book of Mark on Tuesday with you. And we'll close with our benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Take care. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday.